If you're nervous about screwing up your kitchen layout, then the next 10 minutes could save you from making some very expensive layout mistakes that just become this massive pain to live with every day. First, I'm going to show you the kitchen layout mistakes to avoid. They're crazy hard to fix and will make your life so much harder. Then in part 2, I want to show you some clever layout swaps that designers lean on that will make your kitchen so much easier to use, and you can consider them before you lock in your plans. I just want to say first though, I love how much thought that you're putting into your kitchen layout. Even though you might feel overwhelmed by decision fatigue right now, you're doing all the right things by considering and then reconsidering all of your options. That's exactly how you'll end up with a kitchen that works for you for so many years to come. Okay, let's look at those layout mistakes first. Mistake number 1 is accidentally having unsafe appliance clearance. So before you lock in your layout, check your dishwasher and oven doors don't obstruct the entry door. If the appliance door is left open, you could restrict access via entry, which is an absolute pain for everyone in the house, and it's unsafe in emergencies. Also, check your dishwasher won't become a trip hazard. If you're a clumsy klutz like me, or you've got kids or grandkids with the zoomies, you really don't want them running into the dishwasher door. And also leave plenty of clearance in front of your hob. Just ask yourself, if you had to step back quickly, have you got enough space to react? I know it sounds crazy, but act out worst case scenarios in your head. It looks like I've just found a benefit to my generalised anxiety disorder. Okay, mistake 2 is one to be very careful about during your installation, as well as right now as you're deciding your layout, and that's obstructing your work triangle. The work triangle is basically the technique of positioning your fridge, sink and cooker in a triangular position around your kitchen area so that you can quickly glide between them as you're cooking or doing tasks. And anything obstructing that triangle, even if it's just a corner of an island, can become a real gripe and disrupt your workflow. You'll just wish your installer moved it several inches out the way. Like, you know those scenarios where you're walking around a room in a bit of a rush and you catch your hip or your leg on some furniture? Usually it's a one-off, just a brain misjudgment, but in poorly designed spaces where you have a misplaced or oversized island or a worktop corner, it can happen more regularly than you'd like, and you'll end up bruised like a little peach. Mistake number 3 is when your breakfast bar is too narrow. I love a good breakfast bar as a casual place to eat or take a call or gather around, but mistake 3 can make them fail and become the breakfast bar that nobody uses for several reasons. If there's not enough knee space underneath the bar, you'll never be comfortable sitting there when your legs are swung to the side. You need at least 300mm or 12 inches of worktop overhang so that your knees can sit comfortably at a bar or an island. And then let's say that your breakfast bar is not only narrow with no knee space, but it's also facing a blank wall. You have nothing to look out to and no headspace as you lean to get off the bar stool. It's these kind of design flaws that make it the breakfast bar that no one ends up using. Also, I always think that if you're working with a small kitchen, don't force one in either. When they're uncomfortable to sit at, you rarely gravitate towards it, and it could end up becoming a dumping ground for bags and letters and school uniforms that you just wish you did something differently with. Mistake number 4 is one that I've spotted in so many houses I've been looking at for sale on Rightmove, so don't make yours one of them. Even if you're not living in the UK, this goes for all of us. It's poor doors and windows planning. So let's say that you're planning to install large patio doors, move a back door, or add a door into a utility space. Or let's say that you're adding windows to a wall or building an extension. Well, adding doors and windows is excellent for increasing natural light and your connection to the outside space, but plan your kitchen layout at the same time as your doors and windows positioning, because you could end up with running into issues like having massive patio doors and no wall space for kitchen cupboards, and then your kitchen is tiny, or windows being added and then there's no space for wall units or space for an extractor. Natural light and flow is important to prioritise, but a home needs a workable kitchen that flows well first, and the two should be planned and prioritised together. By the way, if you're finding this video useful so far, hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's completely free, you'll get colour advice, where to spend and save on your kitchen, and how to avoid costly design mistakes, the kind of advice people normally pay an interior designer thousands for. The next mistake might sound a bit minor, but trust me, it will bug you forever when it happens and can spoil your cabinet fronts in some scenarios. It's when handles bash against each other. Often the culprits are tighter corner units and your hardware just needs swapping out to smaller handles. But handles can bang onto adjacent cupboard fronts and cause marks. But it can also occur when oven doors don't pull down, they pull out. Also watch out for any drawers that open and clash onto the cupboard handles. One way we try to prevent this is to allow space in your kitchen layout plan for corner posts, and don't design your kitchen using every millimetre of space. Give yourself, say, 100 millimetres on either end of a wall for your installer to play with. I know I said that corner units were the main culprit, but they are definitely not something to avoid. And in fact, in just a minute, I want to bust some layout planning myths that are going to alleviate some common doubts. In fact, another big piece of advice if you're planning a kitchen layout and it's your first or second time is to understand all the standard common dimensions that are available to you, because when you know cupboard sizes, appliance sizes and various upgrades that you can install, it basically becomes like this palette that you can pull from that enables you to plan your layout faster and with more confidence. My students have been using my kitchen layout cheat sheet that you can download for free below this video if you need a quick reference guide. And for a short time, I'm allowing access to you guys for free, so get it now while it's available, or scan this QR code on screen to get a copy. Before I move on to sharing the layout swaps that you should strongly consider to enhance the practicality of your kitchen, this last mistake is not planning your extraction or appliance positioning from the very beginning. Start your kitchen planning here. I've said this in previous videos that extraction fans are nearly impossible to retrofit later without compromising your kitchen design in some way. And some of your appliances like your cooker, fridge, washing machine, dishwasher will heavily inform the triangulation around your kitchen and may be constrained by your property's drainage locations. So if you haven't started your kitchen layout planning at all yet, start with your extraction and appliances. And if you're in the middle of your kitchen layout planning now, make sure that you've factored all of these into your design before you lock everything in. In fact, this is another reason why the kitchen layout cheat sheet will help you, because you'll firm up the decisions all in the correct order. Okay, briefly before I share the clever layout swaps, I need to quickly bust some kitchen layout myths with you, because it's easy to kind of stress yourself out and overthink things, and it's really unnecessary. Myth number 1 is when people say don't position your sink facing a wall. It's totally okay to position your sink facing a wall. And I think this myth comes from when people did a lot more manual washing up. We preferred to look out at a window to pass the time. But we're relying more and more on dishwashers now, and it's sort of become an archaic rule. Obviously, if you can fit it by the window, then try to, but don't stress yourself out or compromise your kitchen with a small sink unit because that's all you could squeeze in beneath your window. Have a look at our students Claire's and Michelle's sink setups. They don't face windows, but they're a beautiful part of their overall kitchen design, and they can become a real focal point for yours. Myth number 2 is when people say, avoid corner cupboards. They get a lot of hate, but as the proud owner of 3 corner cupboards in my kitchen, I can tell you I feel so thankful to have them. 2 of them are deep cupboards that I can stuff everything in that I don't use often, like my slow cooker, cocktail glasses, and Christmas plates. And the other one has a strong corner pull-out where I store veg and cans. But yeah, corner cupboards are not something you should avoid. And myth number 3 is when they say every wall unit has to be returned right up to the window. Personally, I do the exact opposite. So imagine you've got a run of wall units ending next to a window. A lot of kitchen designers will add one last narrow cabinet on the return wall to make everything look symmetrical on the drawings. But in reality, that tiny cupboard is next to useless. And more importantly, when you walk into the room, you're looking at the exposed side panel of that cabinet rather than the beautiful kitchen fronts. So instead, I always stop the wall units cleanly before the window, so you get a lighter, less cluttered look and the window actually feels bigger. And from most angles, you're seeing the front of the cabinetry, not a side panel sticking out into the room. So don't assume that every wall unit run needs a return. Sometimes stopping short actually creates a more expensive looking design. Right, since you're getting this new kitchen installed, you've got an amazing opportunity to really enhance the practicality, and there's some clever layout swaps that interior designers rely on to help clients actually have easier lives. You'll be able to apply at least one of these to your layout plan right now, no matter what size your space or what budget you're working with. Idea 1 is to swap your base cupboards for pan drawers. It's far more ergonomic to open up a drawer and lift out plates and pans rather than having to crouch down or kneel down to pull everything out and find something at the back of the cupboard. Pan drawers are a game changer, so make sure you're provisioning for them in your layout. Idea 2 is to swap your built-in microwave for a worktop pantry. A worktop pantry can be installed deep enough to house a freestanding microwave while giving you so much surrounding storage space for coffee machines, cups, breakfast bits in a much more reachable and practical way than a built-in microwave sitting in a tall unit. The best part is that they can be completely closed away when they're not in use, so there's no dirty microwave door on display. Idea 3 is to swap your pendants for under cabinet lights if you're trying to cut costs. When we're working with clients with tighter budgets and we need to create the most impact that we can, I'll always prioritise under cabinet lighting over pendant lights, which can always be added later. Under cabinet or under shelf lights bring such a soft all over glow to your kitchen that pendant lights just don't. And this is especially great if your space is open plan and you want to create an atmosphere during the evenings. Idea 4 is to swap your standard tool unit for a pull-out larder, especially if it can be accessed via both sides. What's so great when you're using your kitchen is to be able to actually see what you're trying to grab. So when you're looking for snacks or cans, you can easily reach them and find them. Whereas standard units with inner shelving can need a lot of work to locate things because you're pulling things out and trying to reach something at the back. Idea 5 is to swap a sink on an island for a hob on the island instead. This one does divide opinion, but the upshot is that having an induction hob is far cleaner and less cluttered than having a sink on your island with dirty plates and cups surrounding it. And if you're unsure about how to go about your hob extraction when it's sat on an island, then look at hobs with downdraft extraction or install a ducted ceiling extractor fan and closely consider how loud the extractor is. The technical specs will all have decibels listed to help you avoid extraction methods that are unsettlingly loud. But I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments about this one. Do you prefer a sink or a hob on the island? Or do you think the island should remain completely clear? Let's chat in the comments. If your kitchen renovation is starting soon, download the kitchen layout cheat sheet now to help you map out your options confidently, and watch this video next. I explain how to project manage your renovation to avoid mistakes when the work happens. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye guys.